Real stories and fresh wisdom on the front porch. Join us with today's guest.
So who are you, Charles?
Okay. I'm Charles Reed. I am the founder and CEO of Get Payroll. We are a payroll services provider to small and medium-sized businesses around the country. I'm a veteran. I'm a father. I'm a businessman. I'm retiring. Uh, I'm 76 years old. I'm a poker player, a pilot, a bunch of things.
Awesome.
So,
You know how
uh,
to live life.
no, I don't.
Oh,
When I was in my early 20s, I was concerned about things. So I went and found a psychiatrist, and he ran me through a whole bunch of tests, and he said, Charles, you're fine. You're just a little nonconformist. And I said, okay, I like that. So I've not conformed to anything uh, in my life and don't choose to now. So I go my own way.
awesome. I, I think that's living life. It's the way it should be.
I agree. Everybody is unique. Absolutely. You know, I ran across a statistic here a few months ago that a man and a woman at birth, between the two of them, have the potential to bring several quadrillion different individuals to life between the eggs that a woman has when she's born and the sperm that a man will create over his life. Quadrillions of unique individuals. That's just one man and one woman. Now you
Wow.
take 4 billion women and 4 billion men, the number of unique individuals that could be created is effectively
Astounding.
infinite.
Yeah,
So we are a unique individual in an infinite universe, and we need to view it that way. We are us. We are an
yes.
individual. We are unique.
That's awesome. Well, let's get started on our talk on the front porch. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good to me. I said to somebody earlier today, wisdom on the front porch in Dallas in the summer is get inside.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hot.
right. Well, we're here in Austin, but that's okay. We're wherever you
Close
are in
enough.
Texas, it's hot.
It's 100 plus. So yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you have created an accounting firm, is that correct?
Yeah, we started an accounting firm and then we morphed into a payroll company.
Into a payroll company. So what's the difference if people don't really know the difference? Some people are just starting out in business.
Sure. Accounting is all the movement of money and how it's recorded and detailed, where it's spent, how it's spent, what makes it deductible to for tax purposes or not deductible, and all those things go into whether you made a profit or you made a loss. If you made a profit, it should tell you where. It should, if you made a loss, it should tell you where. Financials should speak to you and tell you things. They're not just something you have to do for the government. They are a document that helps guide you in your business. And if you don't understand them and or your accountant is not explaining them to you, find another accountant because they are very, very valuable tools to run your business. And
Okay.
without that information, you're just blind. You know, you're going on intuition, and intuition may be great, but it doesn't write paychecks.
Right.
Now, payroll is the act of paying the people, your people and yourself, for the work that's done, and then making sure that all that money is moved properly, all the taxes are withheld, recorded, paid, and reported to the government agencies, of which there's in the US over 15,000 different agencies that tax payroll,
Oh,
including such things as the Philadelphia school system, the city of Indianapolis, New York City, Kansas City, other places that you wouldn't even think of. Aurora, Colorado taxes it. So, you've got to know what you're doing and understand the biggest problem small businesses have with payroll is they don't know what they don't know, and they get into problems. 40% of small businesses get tagged with an employment tax payroll penalty every year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's in the tens of billions of dollars a year in penalties from the IRS for small businesses on payroll tax problems.
So what would you suggest for someone who has a small business, and maybe they only have a couple of people working for them?
Call me.
Call you. Awesome.
Or talk to your friends, see who they use for payroll. Use a payroll service bureau. Don't try to do it yourself. It's not worth it. For the pittance we charge, we provide expertise and systems that literally you can't afford as a small business. I mean, you could hire somebody like me, but you're going to pay well into six figures. And then I'm going to have software and equipment and space, and you're out another large chunk of money, and you're going to be out that every year. Well, for a small pittance every month, we handle that and we keep up with all the software, all the changes in the laws, all the regulations. We know the people, we know where these things go, we know the rules. When I grew up, Pele was the world's best soccer player, incredible athlete.
Yes.
But if you took Pele and you put him in a New York Yankees uniform at second base, he would be absolutely lost. He wouldn't know the rules. He wouldn't know, pick up the ball with your hands. He wouldn't know what was going on. He'd still be a great athlete. So if you take a business person who knows their business, serves their customer, makes a profit, and now you say, go deal with the IRS on a payroll problem. They're Pele at second base. They're lost. Doesn't mean they're not a good business person. Doesn't mean they don't know the business intimately. It just means you've now put them in a different ballpark that they don't understand. We do.
Absolutely.
We don't know your business. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. But I'll tell you how to handle a payroll because that's my business.
That's right. This may or may not be in your wheelhouse to answer, but as an entrepreneur, we try to do everything ourselves and eventually find out we need to hire a VA or we need to hire somebody else like that. When do we really need to have a payroll? When do we need to start hiring people on a payroll?
The problem, there's two things you brought up right there in that single question. One is classification. What's payroll and what isn't payroll?
Right.
Now, if you incorporate or if you file as an LLC, as an S corp, you're an employee and you have to take payroll and report it. You don't have a choice. Okay? If you're a sole proprietor, you're in a partnership, you don't. If you're in a disregarded entity, you don't. But if you are a corporation or you file as an S corp, as an LLC, you're an employee already. Then when you hire people, the typical small business wants to say, oh, I'll just pay them as contractors. I'll just write them a check. Simple, easy. And the guy says, sure, no problem. Because he's not going to pay taxes on it anyway. That's not a choice. There's a whole body of law that determines whether that person is a contractor or not. And if you don't understand that law, you can get into problems. And misclassification can put you out of business. I've seen clients get hit with tens of thousands of dollars in penalties, and you may have to pay all those taxes that you didn't withhold that you may not be able to get back from the person you paid them to. The IRS is not a forgiving organization. So classification is important. Then my attitude is that you need to use a payroll company starting day one. It just isn't worth it because you have to then, if you hire somebody and you say, okay, yeah, they really are a W-2 employee, they're going to work in the office, yada, 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 then you have to understand all the things you have to do with the federal government, the state government, possibly the local government, all the forms you have to file. And if you don't file them, the IRS doesn't just say, oh, well, no big deal. Just go ahead and file and we'll forgive everything. There's penalties and interest on all that. Some of that, there's a 5% penalty if you are 1 second late in filing a form or
Wow.
making a deposit. 1 second. So it can be very expensive. That's one of those hats as an entrepreneur you need to take off and put on somebody else immediately. It's inexpensive. It doesn't cost you a lot of money, and can save you unmitigated grief down the road. Because if you start out wrong, you're just digging a deeper hole every payday. And it's
Right.
going to get worse and worse and worse till, if you're not careful, you won't be able to recover. And if you
Okay.
do, it'll be very, very expensive. So I recommend day one. Before I started my own firm, I always used a payroll outsourcing company. It just wasn't worth it to do it in-house. Now, if you've
Okay.
got 500 people and you want to hire somebody like me to handle it all, great, do it in-house. But you're gonna you're gonna pay.
Right. Right. So, you're talking about federal, state. So does your business cover every state or just,
Yes. No, we cover all the states and the District of Columbia. We used
oh,
to cover
wow.
some of the territories. We don't anymore because dealing with Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands is tough.
Okay.
It's not worth our time to go learn. Yeah, they're American, but if you try to deal in the Virgin Islands, it's in Spanish, and the
Mm-hmm.
forms are in Spanish, and the rules are different. And for the few clients
Okay.
we would have, it's not worth that much for us to be outside of the box. Puerto Rico's not much better.
Okay. So who
So
would they go to?
ADP. As much as I hate to recommend a competitor, if you're going to deal in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, call ADP. They've got a bunch of clients and
ADP.
they handle it. They
Okay.
won't they won't give you good service, but they do a reasonably good job, and they'll file the forms for you and keep most of the headaches away. You won't be happy. You won't be as happy as you would be with us, but they'll do it. So as much as I hate to tout a competitor,
Yeah. You're not like Macy's who will say, "Oh, go down to this store, they'll have it."
well, ADP will handle you. If you're in Puerto Rico, ADP will handle it.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Oh, good. So with all 50 states, everybody doing their own thing and how do you keep up on everything? How do you stay current?
We train constantly. We get the trades. We get several emails a week from the IRS on things. We go to
Oh, wow.
seminars. My staff is going to a seminar in Austin just after Labor Day for a couple of days. We are constantly training. We are constantly getting stuff in. We of course have systems in place to update us on any of the state changes. We also know who to talk to in every state and where to go to and where to
Okay.
find out things. And yeah, stuff changes all the time. And we get notices of it literally daily of different
Wow.
things for different states and different localities. Um, it's just like our labor poster system for our clients. We get updates on the labor posters you have to post in your workplace literally several times a week from one state or one locality uh, in the country.
Isn't that something? Wow. So I have to ask, how did you get started in this?
After service, I went to college and I was taking business courses and finance courses. I enjoyed that. I'm a very analytical person. And one day I'm walking down the hall in the business building up on the third floor, and the concept of depreciation actually made sense.
Hmm.
And that said, Charles, you need to be an accountant. So I concentrated on accounting and got my MBA, sat for and passed my CPA exam while I was still in graduate school, went to work for Texas Instruments.
Oh, wow.
Spent 15, yeah, spent 15 years in the corporate world. Uh, Small companies, large companies, startups, turnarounds, wonderful experience. Got very disillusioned with corporate management. I've always been a critic of American corporate management. I think for the most part, it's very poor. There are exceptions, but for the most part, it's very poor and very self-serving. Uh, and I don't like to be that way. I truly value my staff. Without them, I wouldn't be in business.
Right.
Uh, and so after 15 years in corporate, I said, I want my own business. So my wife and I went out and started our own business, hung out my shingle. We started doing accounting and payroll. That was in 1991. So
Oh,
we've been at it for over a third of a century.
yeah. Yeah. My husband and I got married in 92. So, yeah. Been at a year
My,
longer than we've been married.
my wife and I got married in 70.
Wow. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really good. And so you and your wife were doing it. What happened that you knew you needed to hire employees yourself?
Well, we got busy and we got busier, and it wasn't something we could handle ourselves. I'm not a very good salesman, so sales was something we could outsource. Uh,
Okay.
my biggest story for passing on hats is I thought I could market, and we got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I finally said one day, maybe I should let somebody else do the marketing. Take off that marketing hat and put it on somebody else. You can see what wearing all the hats has done to me. Uh, so I hired a marketing manager, and in 2 weeks, I realized I couldn't market my way out of a paper bag.
Oh, wow.
She was so much superior to me. It was an eye opener what could be done that I wasn't doing and had no idea what should be done. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
And,
Right.
and so my biggest regret is that I didn't hire her 10 years earlier. I'd be a much bigger company today if I had.
Oh, that's awesome. So, have you had to fire people along the way?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's never pleasant.
No.
It indicates that I made a bad decision in hiring, but firing somebody that is a bad fit won't make you go broke. Keeping
Okay.
them on may. Okay.
Yeah.
There's times you just have to say, I made a bad decision. Now, Ruth was much, much better at hiring people than I was, much more of a people person. And, you know, we've very, very seldom had any problem with her hires. But I've had people who just didn't work out. I had one young lady that was a thief. Um, I think my biggest one I regret is I had a young man who was working on his CPA, very bright young man. And when he passed his CPA exam, that gave him an ego boost. And he at that point decided he could tell people how to run their business,
Mm.
that he was a CPA. And I sat him down and I said, you can't tell our clients how to run their business. That's their business. They know it better than you ever will. You can
Right.
advise them on accounting and where the money's going and where they're making profit and where they're making loss. But that's their choices. That's not yours. You don't run their business. And I counseled him on it repeatedly. And I finally just had to let him go. I hated to do so. He was a very nice young man, but he let his ego get in the way of things. And that's true of a lot of American corporate management is
Isn't it?
they're managing with their egos. I've sworn for years I'm going to write a book called Park Your Ego at the Door, which is my best business advice of all times is, don't take your ego in there. It's not you. It's not about you. It's about your clients. It's about your employees. It's not about you. Uh,
Right.
so,
Right. Yeah, it's
you know,
about serving others. And yeah,
I work.
absolutely.
I'll tell you a story. I worked for a company here in Dallas, and I worked for them for 4 years, and we took it from a loss to a substantial profit. And I had installed, along with the head of marketing, a bonus program for the salespeople, which if they made greater sales, then they got an increase in commission, which was retroactive. So they were always looking for that next step. And they were making some very good money. Well, I left to take a better position. And the owner looked at the sales bonus program and said, they're making too much money. Now, they were making him money, but he thought they were making too much money.
Oh,
So he said, we're going to kill the bonus program.
oh,
3 months later, the sales manager and the better half of the sales staff left in mass to a direct competitor
isn't that something?
and took all their clients. 3 months later, he was bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
He did it to himself. He
Yeah,
absolutely did it to himself. He said, "Oh, they're making too much money, so piss on them."
yeah.
I want to write huge checks to my salespeople. Okay, I like to write them $1 million check because if I do, they've made me a whole bunch of money.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if they're doing their job, absolutely. Now, if they're not doing their job like you were talking about, or if they're hurting your company by not working with your clients, then that's a different story.
Got to let them go. It hurts far more to keep them than
Yes,
it does to let them go. It's firing people's not pleasant. I don't like to do it. Uh, I do it on Monday morning. I won't do it on Friday afternoon before the weekend. I think that's terrible.
good.
I do it on Monday morning so they can go down and file their unemployment. And it used to be so they could pull the Sunday one ads and start looking.
Right, right.
That's the least I can do for them. To send them home on Friday afternoon knowing they've just lost their job, whew, what a terrible thing to do to somebody. So, no, but nobody I've ever fired has been surprised. They may not be happy about it, but I don't fire people out of hand. That's an ego thing. If you
Right.
fire somebody because they piss you off, that's stupid. Okay, why do they upset you? What did they say? What's going on? Were they right? There's a million things that go on in this, and I learned a long time ago when I first got married. To get into an argument, I walk around the block. Sometimes I walk around the block several times before I say things. So, you know, my right hand person at work, she's been with me 25 years. For the first 10 or 15, there were times that both of us would walk out of the office and she'd go home or I'd go for a walk or whatever because we got in heads, loggerheads.
Yeah.
Now, for the last 10 years, we haven't had that. It's like a marriage. After a while, you understand better. She's my work wife. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was just thinking about the first time I got fired. I'd never known anybody that got fired. It was devastating. It actually
Yes.
happened on a Wednesday, but I was fired. Um, Not really sure why. Still on probation. I had gone home with the flu, but that person that fired me was taking over for someone while they were on vacation, and she fired the top 10 people, and I was number 3. And that Friday, she herself was fired, but it was out of the blue. It was like, come in the office. I gotta tell you, you're fired if you can't tell me why you were homesick. It's like, well, I was homesick. What did I know? My first job I ever had. And it was still devastating. I got fired another time, and it was on a Friday, and it was because of another employee spreading rumors, who that employee ended up getting fired themselves. But it was like, if the company doesn't trust you enough to talk to you or to tell you what's going on, or, hey, I heard that you were doing this, you know, then it's like you don't want to work for them anyways, right?
Exactly. If they're going to treat you like that, you're better off with a different job.
Yeah.
Companies like that tend not to survive. They tend to be bad places to work. They make it
Oh yeah,
may
they're
eke
both
out,
gone.
yeah, they may eke out a profit, but they may not. But if they don't take care of their people, they're not going to survive.
Yes.
Period. Paragraph. End of letter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is so what do you recommend for you've already recommended that if you're going to start a business, you hire payroll right at first. Whether you
Yes.
have employees or not, you got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
What are some other recommendations that you have?
You need 4 advisors in a business. You need a
Oh,
lawyer. As much as I hate lawyers, you need a lawyer. You need a banker because you're moving money and you've got to have a way to move it. You need an insurance agent because the risks in this world are high and you need to insure against them. And you need an accountant. And the accountant includes payroll, but you need a CPA that does
okay.
payroll, or a payroll accountant on top of your CPA to keep track of things so you know what you're doing. But those 4 people are advisors.
Okay.
Don't let them run your business. Your lawyer will want to run your business. Some of your accountants will want to run your business. Your banker will tell you that there's things you shouldn't do, that there's things that you shouldn't be working there. You shouldn't be having clients that, and so on and so forth. Listen to them, but make your own decisions.
Okay.
Okay. And insurance, the insurance agent will want to sell you everything in the world. You have to assess your risk and your cost of insuring against it and make your own decisions on what coverage you want. Uh,
Right.
you know,
Right.
remember, all of them are there to get some of your money. And that's fine if they do their job and they give you a good advice and they help you prevent pitfalls and warn you of things. That's their job. And that's what
Okay.
you pay them for. You don't pay them to run your business, and you don't pay them everything they ask for, because they'll ask for all of it if they get a chance.
Uh, so what about doing something like Quicken Books? Something like that for your accounting. Is that
To start out, that's fine. Uh, okay. And people will argue with me, accountants won't. QuickBooks is not an accounting system, it's a checkbook system.
okay?
There's things it doesn't do. You still need a CPA to file your taxes, and
Right.
they will help you set up your QuickBooks to give them the information they need to do the proper accounting, the proper tax accounting. Okay.
Okay.
It can feed him. And that's a fine way. But if you'll talk to your CPA, he will help organize your accounting records and how you do things to keep you out of trouble and to keep track of things to minimize the cost of him doing things for you at the end of the year. I mean, you could take in 2 grocery bags of receipts and give them to him, and they say, here's all the receipts. And he'll gladly take them, spend hours categorizing them and adding them up and totaling them up and so on and so forth. He'll charge for it. And he'll be more than happy to do it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Where if you talk to him about setting up your systems, you'll just hand him a summary at the end of the year, that you've created through computers, hopefully, and save yourself hours of his time at some huge billing rate. So
Good. Good.
to set things up properly, make things easy for you, make things easy to audit. So if and when you get an IRS audit, it's simple. You just lay out the records and let them go through them. And when they get done, they say thank you very much and go away because
Okay.
they're all there and all correct and all in order.
Good.
Boom.
Good.
Audits don't mean you owe money. Audit means we just want to look at things.
Okay.
One of my very first audits was my father. I was a new CPA, and he got a letter from the IRS, and it was a correspondence audit. And he wanted some help, and I said, sure, I'll handle it. And so I went through it, and I talked to the IRS agent and provided him all the stuff he wanted and so on. And my father had set aside $2,000 for the potential cost of the audit. This was many years ago. And I finally called him one day, and I said, you want the good news or the bad news? And he said, give me the bad news. And I said, it's $400. He said, oh, that's not bad. What's the good news? I said, it's a refund.
Oh, wow.
He bought dinner for the wife and I.
Nice. Yeah, I would too. That's a way to do it. Yeah. So
So
what's if somebody look to, you said you were talking about the four people that you really need to help you with your business. In order to make sure that they're going to really support you in your business, what are some things you need to look for in each one?
references. Talk to your friends.
References.
Talk to people who can say, hey, yeah, this guy's great, or no, you don't want to deal. I know him, and no, you don't want to.
Okay.
You're the friends and acquaintances and other professionals that you know that have dealt with these people can give you recommendations.
Oh,
Now,
good.
is that a guarantee? Absolutely not. You
Right.
need to meet with them and make sure the chemistry works.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, on top of that, for your CPAs and your attorneys, check with the state, check the disciplinary records, see if they've been disciplined, see if
Okay.
they've run into problems with their state societies. You'll get some guys and they'll have they've been censored for this, and this, and this. You don't want to deal with them. They don't follow the rules. Okay.
Okay.
And with CPAs, you want a CPA who will dance down the line, not step over it, but
Okay.
dance down it. Some of them are extremely conservative and will take the most conservative view of everything.
All right.
That's okay, but it can get very expensive. You
Mm.
want somebody who will keep you legal, but will take advantage of every potential loophole and nuance of the tax law, but keep you legal. I mean, you can go, we just pay everything and don't take any deductions. You're never going to get into trouble that way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
There's deductions you can take and techniques you can use to minimize your taxes legally. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do so. Nobody requires you or expects you to pay any more taxes than you are legally obligated to do so. If the government wants you to pay more taxes, they'll pass more laws to get it. Okay?
Right.
They're
Right.
not reticent about that in the least. Okay? So the laws are set up and you need to obey them. But the letter of the law is there for a reason. And if there's a way to take advantage of how the law is written to lower your tax burden, by all means do it. It's
Okay.
legal. It's ethical.
There you go.
There's nothing unethical about being aggressive about reducing taxes. That's not evasion. That's just minimization. And
Right.
it's legal and it's ethical, and you're a fool not to do it. If you want to give more money to the government, just write them a check and send it as a charitable donation, which is
There you
tax
go.
deductible.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can send a check to pay down the deficit, and it's a deductible contribution to the federal government.
Wow, well, that sounds good. So how do people get a hold of you?
We're all over the web as getpayroll.com. My personal email is cjr@getpayroll.com. And if they've got something offhand, 972-353-0000, ask for Charles.
Awesome. That sounds really good. And you work over all 50 states,
Yep.
so no problem with that. That's really good. So how difficult is it, like say you're working in one state, you move to another state, how hard is that to get all of the taxes and everything done that you need to get done? And it just sounds like a mess to me.
It can be, but we deal with clients now, particularly that have employees in all kinds of states,
Okay.
um, and people move and things change. One of our people works remotely from Louisiana now. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so we had to open up a Louisiana unemployment account and a Louisiana deposit account for state income taxes. That's what we do. Yeah, it's a hassle, but it's part of the deal. You just do it
Right.
if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, okay, Sally's moved to Montana. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Well, we'll tell you how to deal with Montana. We'll deal with Montana unemployment and revenue departments for you. That's our job.
Okay. So I have a question because a lot of uh, work is done remotely, but it's also
Yep.
done in other countries. Let's say you've hired a VA who lives over in Pakistan, and you're paying your VA to help you, I don't know, with your TikTok channel or something. Um, so does that count as payroll, or is that something different?
That's normally going to be contract labor. And since it's a foreign national in a foreign nation, there are no payroll requirements in the US for that. You
Okay.
don't have to withhold, you don't have to pay. They're not a US citizen, they're not a US resident. They are a non-resident alien,
Okay.
not so they don't reside in the US. That's not payroll in the general definition of payroll and payroll taxes. So you don't have to worry about that. It is deductible as an expense, of course, for your business, and you should deduct that. If you form a presence in that country, you may have to set up payroll in that country.
Okay.
But as long as you're just paying them for work via the internet or whatever, or via mail, you don't have a problem. It's just an expense that you write off.
Okay. That sounds good.
It
So
is.
how does it work if you have someone who is remote in another state? Um,
We just have to file for that state, and there a couple of things that happen here. If you form a nexus in that state, and a nexus means that you have a presence in that state,
okay.
then you have to file with the state and you have to pay state corporate taxes and everything else. California is a terrible place to form a nexus. We did that ourselves, and after a couple of years, we pulled our office out of California. It wasn't
Wow.
worth dealing with it. So if you don't have a nexus and you just have an employee who is working remotely, now you need to pay into that state for state income tax and state unemployment for that employee's payroll. And you will need to register in that state for those purposes. Okay. And we have systems that'll help you with all of that. We've got a third
Okay.
party that can do all those filings for you. And then we make all the deposits and all the reports. We send out stacks of reports to every state every quarter for quarterly filings. It's just plus the locals. So that's what we do. We make that, you don't have to think about it. Sally moves to Louisiana from Austin. Well, we just make sure you're set up legally in Louisiana and we file it for you. It's just,
Good.
when we send the money electronically to Texas, well, we send the money for Sally electronically to Louisiana. You don't have to think about it. Okay.
That's really nice because entrepreneurs have a lot to think about. One less thing to be concerned. Yeah.
It really is. And with so much remote work, it's just,
Yeah.
it's silly from my point of view to try and do payroll yourself. I wouldn't. I did it when I was in the industry, and I surely don't recommend it now that I'm in outsourcing.
Wise words there. But yeah, so how much longer do you think you're going to be doing this?
Not a whole lot longer. I'm
Really?
in the process of selling the business to the employees.
Oh, nice.
They helped me build it. They should get a crack at it. I mean,
Yeah.
I could go sell it to my competitors for a good bit of money, but they didn't help me build the company. My employees did. I've got long-term employees. We have very little turnover. Uh,
Nice.
my right-hand lady has been with me, like I said, 25 years. So my operations manager has been with me over 10 now, and he's getting his EA so he can take the powers of attorney and so on that we take. So they should get a crack at it.
Yeah.
And I expect
Good.
them to do very well. I'll always be available for a question or some help. I'm not going to abandon them, but I want to retire. So not much longer, but
Yeah.
uh, any of my clients that want to talk to me, they'll my phone still connects to the system. They can
Nice.
pitch me on it. So yeah,
Oh, good.
I've got clients that I've had for a third of a century, and in some
Yeah.
cases I have their kids, okay, that now run the companies in more than one case.
Wow.
And I have successor companies where they've sold it and say, don't change payroll companies. Uh, you know, Carol, who's a favorite client of mine who had multiple restaurants, has sold them all. Her and her husband have retired. She tells the story that uh, we were talking about clients and loyalty and so on. She says, I have people call me every week and want to do my payroll. And I tell them no. And they say, well, we can do it cheaper. And she says, I don't care if you can do it for free. I'm not leaving Charles.
Nice.
I'm not going to leave clients like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm dead, I'm dead, and I'm sorry. But until then, if they want to talk, I'll talk to them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Those are some great ways to run your company right there. How to
I got
keep going when you're growing.
I think that is, and I don't like to say I have wisdom, but I think that is wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking care of your clients, taking care of your employees. That's the way. It's a good life. It makes life easy. It makes life profitable. Uh, and it's easy on the soul.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much. Have a real estate friend of mine, same philosophy that you have, is you serve your clients and you make them happy. Um, and he did it with his construction business, he does it with his real estate business. He doesn't just say, here's a house, here's the price, buy it. You know, what is it that you want for your home? Because this is where you're gonna live. And what are some requirements for it? And then as he goes through, and he does this with everybody, as he goes through, he sees things that are not going to be good for you. He's going to say, these are some things that I see. It's up to you what you do, but you're not going to be happy with this because it's poorly made or poorly designed, or it has, it's connected to the neighbor who's digging up their yard for the next 20 years because they struck oil or something, are you going to want to live next to it? I mean, he looks at all of those things. And I think, well, you two should get together and write that book. I, it would be great. Boy, that would be one book that's gonna last for the ages, like the Stoics and other things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you don't let your ego get ahead of you and rule you, because people do not want your egos. Your clients don't want your ego. Your employees don't want your ego. Um, really, wow. Yeah, we got to get that book written. Well, Charles, thank you for being here. Do you have some closing thoughts for our audience or listeners?
Yeah. A couple of things for the business people out there.
Okay.
There is never a traffic jam on the extra mile.
That's
If you will
right.
go, if you will go the extra mile for your clients and for your employees, they'll appreciate it, and your competitors won't do it. So you will stand out effectively and admirably. And the other one is, and I stole it from Bill Gates before he got a little crazy. People will overestimate what they can accomplish in a year
Oh,
and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. Business is not a sprint, it is a marathon. It is every day, every week, every month, every year. What I've accomplished in a third of a century, I never thought I would be able to do. It didn't happen the first year. It happened over 33 years. So, very pleased with it, but it took time. And if you're expecting to be that unicorn, if you're expecting to be that Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Michael Jordan, it ain't going to happen. But over time, you'll be amazed what you can do.
that is interesting. Yeah. I had never quite thought of it in quite those terms before, but that's really good. So tell us again where we can find you and get a hold of you.
Get Payroll on the web. My email is cjr@getpayroll.com and 972-353-0000. Best thing GTE ever did for me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, our audience. Whether you're watching this or listening to it, we appreciate you sitting here on the front porch with us. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, my Front Porch friends and neighbors, for pulling up a chair with me and my guest today on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Now, if you've got value from this conversation, would you do me a favor? Leave a quick review, then share it with someone you know who could use some inspiration. It helps more friends find their seat on the porch. And hey, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss what's next. Until then, keep the porch light on for new wisdom every time you show up. Your seat's always here for you on the porch.